Oh, yes.
Hello again, everybody. Today I've got a review for the Generation Selects Siege, so branded, Powerdasher Cromar figure. He comes in officially at War for Cybertron Generation Select 04. So it's actually kind of back numbered a bit compared to other toys that have come out. It's interesting. He must have been planned a little while back. If you're not familiar with Cromar, you are definitely not alone. The Powerdashers were this very obscure group of little Transformers from the early Generation 1 era that you could only receive by mailing away little points you collected from buying the toys. Very simple toys based on some Diaclone molds that weren't deemed complex or quality enough to be part of the main line. And toys that nobody really ever expected to see an update on because they were so miscellaneous by nature. But Cromar has been released. He is a new head retool of the Autobot 6 gun. So he is a weaponizer, and he is paired alongside his Powerdasher buddies. You have Zatar and you have Aragon. I've already done Zatar's review, so naturally he'll be appearing in this review. Aragon is not available yet, though he should be shipping from Amazon around October 17th or so. So soon, like next week, should get that review. Anyway, if you know my reviews, you know how this goes. We're going to take a look at Cromar's packaging, both inside and out. I'm going to take a look at his instructions, and then we will see Cromar in his various modes. Vehicle, robot, weaponizer configurations, so I'll be doing some comparisons, some group shots today, as per my MO. And at the end, I will give my final thoughts. So Cromar comes in your standard, Generation Selects packaging for the Siege line. Got that graffitied Autobot symbol and text there. Got a little label there. This opens up. I don't know if you guys can hear, but my dog has just intruded upon my room, so she's hanging out. And there's Cromar himself, and look at that face. What kind of clown Ronald McDonald looking face is that? Well, that is what his face looks like. He was a really goofy looking toy then, and he's a goofy looking toy now. Though I gotta give him props for not, for being willing to release him like red clown nose and everything. I don't know if I would have been so brave, honestly, if I were Hasbro. I might have opted for something a little more intimidating looking, but hey, it's accurate. So you can see him. He's cast in this very dull silver, along with this kind of faded red color, and then a lot of black. And then you can see his instructions behind him there. All right, here's Cromar's instructions. Got his serial number, the render, his name, all that good stuff on the front. All right, you actually had to flip this to the back to show his transformation to his vehicle mode, right there. Usual cross cells, compatibility, all the fun stuff. Transformation to his 3 different loadouts, same ones that 6 gun has. So you got defensive, offensive, and then the high precision launcher Gauntlet. How to break down his parts into their individual components, and then the names of these components. So you got the CM3 anti-gravity cannon, and those are his feet. Got the CS2A M2, which is a guided missile launcher, and that's his lower body. You have the C50 M2 dual flank boost launcher, which is his upper body. The CLR M2 ion pulse blaster, which are his arms, and then the W5 gyro blasters, which are his little guns there, which, if you don't already know, are the same guns, or, well, the same gun that Sideswipe uses. It serves as a single gun or a missile for his shoulder cannon thing. And nothing new compared to 6 gun, but there is something I noticed that I want to point out on this one individual frame right here. It accidentally swaps in 6 gun's head in the render. It's the only place it does that on the whole instruction sheet, but just right there in that one, it's 6 gun's face instead of Cromar's. Alright, here's Cromar's vehicle mode. It's a little spaceship type mode. And it's exactly the same as 6 guns. The only difference you'll notice as far as molding is that you can see his head in this mode. And it doesn't blend in as well as Six Guns because it's much more rounded, so it doesn't kind of fit perfectly into these little slots here. But not a total game killer. At least you can't see his face from here, just the top of his head. And yeah, colors are very different. His little guns here are actually painted this time, just right here in the middle. It's got like a darker red to go on the lighter red plastic. And it's a very static piece, doesn't really do anything, just make it fly around. And it's just a goofy, bizarre looking little spaceship. And here he is with Six Gun. You can see, despite the almost inverted color scheme, switching out the blacks and whites and stuff, there's not much new to see. This is what I was referring to as far as hiding the head. You can see Six Gun's head was molded specifically to go into these little crevices here, so it does look more natural in the spaceship mode. So I guess a little bit of a ding on little Cromar there. Okay, and here is Cromar in his robot mode. And he's just weird looking. He makes me laugh because he's so awkward. If this toy didn't have such a history and this wasn't meant to be like an homage to obscure G1 stuff, I don't know if I'd want to buy him because he's so ridiculous looking. The fact that he's got this red nose just makes him look like a silly cartoon character. And he kind of looks like he's not wearing pants. Like he's got silver skin and these are just his thighs right here showing. And he's awkward. I don't hate him. There's nothing wrong with him per se, but he's definitely not what I would consider a tasteful looking robot. Which is kind of the point, right? He's supposed to be just this obnoxious little go-body looking thing, and he definitely succeeds at that. His tolerances are exactly where they need to be, in comparison to the original Six Gun mold. Speaking of Six Gun, here he is, just so you can see how these two stack up against each other. And, admittedly, I just think Six Gun is a much better looking use for this mold. I can actually take him seriously. And that's saying a lot considering he is basically a reinvention of a robot made from guns. But regardless of my feelings on Cromar's appearance, I guess I'm being very shallow there, huh? I'm happy he exists because it's just another weaponizer, and who doesn't want more weaponizers, right? Who doesn't want to just have more armaments to throw on other toys or even, heck, combine with each other? Right, you could combine these two into some kind of monstrosity. It'd be pretty cool. In fact, I think it would be really smart of Hasbro if they kind of did like an online pulse thing where they included instructions to maybe like combine the 3 Powerdashers into a combiner type configuration. It'd be kind of neat. Alright, so to show off the weapon modes, I've enlisted the help of Sideswipe as well as his clone, also known as G2 Sideswipe. And this current configuration we have him in is the defensive loadout, which is just this massive winged backpack armament thing. And as you can see, it is immensely back heavy. Have these guys standing at this very unnatural position just so they don't completely flop backwards. So I have the same criticisms of this particular mode as I had with Six Gun. It's very impractical. And I don't know too many Transformers that can actually stand up normally with this thing mounted on their back. One thing I did notice, however, I did mention the tolerances felt largely the same. Well, upon putting it in this configuration, I noticed that certain pieces, certain parts don't quite match up the same. For example, on Six Gun, these little guns fit very loosely into those leg sockets, whereas on here they're nice and tight. But the trade-off is that this connection here, particularly on this side, is very, very loose. And it'll just like kind of wiggle its way out if you mess with it too much. So definitely got some tolerance issues for this mode. Again, I kind of choose to ignore this mode because it's just really unwieldy. Alright, next is the offensive loadout, which to me is much better than the last thing we saw. It's just much more functional. Luckily this time around, I noticed less of a difference in the connection tolerances, so these feel much more similar, nothing very loose on them. So that's good. And I really like how well these two weaponizers match their corresponding host here. It's almost like this mold and the side swipes are just made for each other. Now lastly, we have the third and quirkiest mode. It's the Precision Launcher Gauntlet. Now keep in mind, only the Gauntlet part of this is actually officially part of that mode. The rest of this is just pieces I slapped on. They're normally just discarded basically, but you can get creative and put them wherever you want. And, this is one of the cooler modes. I'd rate it right up there with the Serpentine configuration for the Brunt mold, as far as just creativity and uniqueness. You just get this big old massive hand that he can lob things at his opponents with. Maybe like big old grenades or something. And yeah, just a really fun little play feature. In fact, just had an idea. Boom! Hulk hands. That's right. Now you can turn your Deluxe, Leader, Voyager, whatever Transformers into these big old hulking brutes with 2 launcher gauntlets. Pretty sweet, right? Now, of course, I'd be remiss to do a review on Cromar without grouping up with his Powerdasher buddy, Zatar, who I previously reviewed. And yeah, we got 2 out of the 3 so far. The final one, Aragon, should be dropping here in the middle of the month. So look forward to that review where you can finally see all 3 of them together. And yeah, these 2 are what they are. They're just silly, quirky little Transformers from kind of a forgotten chapter of G1's history. And as a bonus, they are weaponizers, so you get a lot of play value out of them. In fact, I think, honestly, the whole MO of weaponizers is just taking obscure bots and characters and fleshing them out into something a little more substantial, right? Because the first batch were all basically drones from the city bots, and now we have Powerdashers, and now their spiritual successors in the Earthrise line that turn into bases. They're bases. They're literally the Micromaster bases that turn into robots now. Kind of similar to how Brunt didn't have a robot mode until they made a weaponizer of him. So I think it's just a really fun thing to have. And if you do like having elaborate displays or playing with your Transformers, these guys are a worthwhile pickup because now you just have more armaments to slap onto your Autobots and Decepticons. Or at the very least, just more soldiers for the fight, right? So now, do I think you should get Cromar? I've already mentioned I think he's uglier than Sin, but that's kind of the appeal. That's kind of the charm, right? You're supposed to be getting this goofy, silly character. I liken it to the Marvel Legends toys that I don't collect, though. Admittedly, I've been tempted a few times. They're very cool. How they'll just do these kind of weird, obscure characters sometimes for those lore fanatics, those completionists out there. So I think of him as that way, right? As like, this is the equivalent of getting like, I don't know, Doppelganger Spider-Man, just some weird character that nobody thought they'd get. So if you don't mind his goofiness, the fact that he looks like Ronald McDonald had a baby with Captain Falcon, then he's good. He's a fun toy, just like Six Gun was. I think Six Gun is still the prettier of the 2. And if I had to pick one, I would go with Six Gun. But if you're okay with, building up your army of weaponizers, then definitely pick this guy up. $20 from Hasbro Pulse nets you yet another fun weaponizer and, one of the better weaponizer molds in my opinion. But that is just my opinion. I'd love to know what yours is in the comments section. If you like this review, make sure to toss it a thumbs up. If you want to see more like it or any of my other Transformers content, make sure to hit the subscribe button and tap that notification bell so you always get a heads up when I post something new. I thank you all for joining me for this look at Cromar. And with all that said, I will see you next time.